Good morning, my brothers and my sisters. We thank God for the opportunity to come and share with you some extemporaneous perspectives this morning. I wake this morning with many things on my mind, but some that I like to share with you. This is a picture of my great grandmother, Mama Molly Black. I had the pleasure of having her live in our home at one point, and she died being the oldest black woman in Michigan at the young age of 109 years old. She was born in 1860, and as a little girl, she remembered the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. There would be many days when her mind would be crystal clear and she could share with me many of the things that she remembered as a young girl and as a mother growing up in the South and then later in the North. We were adopted into her family, and even though we were adopted, my mother, thank God, treated her just like she was biologically connected. That was a love we learned from my adopted father as well. The purpose in this sharing is to simply remind us on this weekend, first weekend in November of 2018, how important it is to continue the work which was started by many others who came before us. I know there is a lot of consternation on whether or not our right to vote, once exercised, has any level of value. And I know that inappropriate compare and contrast assessments, one could build a case that we receive very little in terms of benefits on a macro basis from how we vote. Those positions sometimes are shared simply because the overall percentage we make in the general population, the fact that we have so many of our young men who could vote incarcerated behind prison walls in county and city jails. And while those arguments are formidable and carry tremendous weight, oftentimes it's necessary to continue a journey to reinforce and put into the minds of our young people the sacrifices those who came before us had to make. And this picture of Mother Molly Black is just a reminder to all of us of the price they paid. A lady who had 19 children in that era of time where you understood what it means to have been blessed by God, to have a family large enough to be able to help you go out and take care of the demands to run a family and a home and to live off the land. Our ancestors were extremely skilled in this regard. And now we've come to a point in our history where some would even question whether or not it's even appropriate to maintain a memory to the past. That's where I believe we have missed the mark. We have gotten to the point to where some want to discount the experience that our ancestors endured and encountered, failing to understand that without an understanding of the sacrifices made by our ancestors, how are we going to have the necessary focus today and the perseverance to see it through? I want to just share with you some perspectives I have in this regard There are many we know that have become highly successful. And we always had highly successful people in our midst. Always. There's never been a point in time, even in the history of this country, where we did not have people that were successful. It's never been a case or a question or whether or not we can be successful or whether or not we can succeed. The question always has been, how do you help the majority of us advance and succeed? We all grew up with the mindset that you always had to be better, you always had to be good, especially based on the fact that you were most of the time operating and being prepared for the future with sub-optimized resources and in situations that did not cater or extract the very best of what you could be. But in the life of Molly Black, I was motivated as a teenager, listening to her stories, listening to how difficult it was. She reminded me of my own grandmother, who also lived to the ripe age of 95. And I would listen to her as well, and the stories both outlived their husbands, just as the actuary tables would share today. But I want you to know we can extract from them and commit to ourselves by virtue of honor to them to get out and vote. On this first weekend in November 2018, there are some historical situations taking place. You can vote to see history perhaps being won, or you can vote in alignment with a political party, but you want to vote. We live in a world today which has become so disappointing to me because we seem to rarely respect and admire independent thinking. We seem to have lost our way, and you got to go all the way to the right or all the way to the left. We seem to have lost balance and the ability in a general election to say, I may vote Republican, I may vote Democrat, I may go Libertarian, I may go Independent, I may write in a candidate. When you have the one time to truly express your level of independence, you are sold a program to say you got to go all the way right or you got to go all the way left. What a level of hypocrisy. We have evolved to a nation where we discount or fail to recognize and honor individuals and people who would say, I want to vote for this particular person because they more resemble what I believe in and what I embrace. Instead, you are sold a bill of goods to say we need to do this or we need to do that. I just sincerely encourage you. Prepare your own compare and contrast, your own pros and your own cons. And think about your ancestors and think about your future. What you're doing today will have an impact tomorrow and the years to come. When I spoke last to Mother Molly Black, she said, you all have a chance to do what we never had a chance to do. I'm sure from strictly an ethnicity perspective, she would have been highly impressed and highly approved of seeing the 44th president elected. She would be highly excited to see a young woman and a young man running for governor in Georgia and Florida. But for whatever your reason may be, I encourage you this day, go out. Let your voices be heard. Be involved in the process. That's the only thing that Molly Black would ask you to do. Peace, love, and understanding.